had a liquor store and a nightclub at the time. And he was like, listen, how much you make at the liquor store? At the time, I was like, $110,000 a year. So he goes, well, listen, guys over here are making that a month.
Luis Figueroa. Luis is the founder of HGRN Capital and Hudson Group Realty Network, a seasoned real estate entrepreneur and financier who spent over 15 years mastering the game of lending, building and creating opportunities where most see none. You did the liquor store, and that transitioned then into Candela, the nightclub. And it's not just liquor. There's ecstasies popping at the time, and Molly, and just coke, whatever the fuck you do.
Let me add to that. This is statute of limitations over. So my money was really made in the after hours. So when we closed at 4 o'clock, there was guys that were paying. All right, man. Well, give me a G.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Mentors Podcast. Real, as always, stands for Real Examples Altering Lives. I'm your host, Sean Martin. Today in studio, we've got the Bronx's own Luis Figueroa coming through in the rain to show some love today. Luis is the founder of HGRN Capital, still calling the Bronx home, keeping it real, boots on the ground, somebody I've become very friendly with recently. And just wanted to have him on the show, pay it forward, as he had me as a guest on his own podcast recently. Welcome to the show, Luis. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. First and foremost, let me say this to you. Thank you. It's an honor to be on the show, right? Secondly, what most people may not realize is that, obviously there's a time commitment, also a financial commitment of having people on platforms. And that's something I think people should not take for granted, right? Because especially when you're having people on your show, you're editing, you're producing, and anyway, because I'm also a host, I understand how much work it takes, so I really appreciate it.
I got goosebumps, my brother, and the reason being is because, when you hear me say it all the time, when you step into what you're supposed to be doing, or at least when you start to give without the thought of getting in return, God, the universe, the vibrations connect you with the right people. So there's no mistake that we're on a very similar journey. Even though we have, different paths, we always find a way to connect with people that are on the same wavelength. And I know you do the same. Mm-hmm. And you're right. There is a cost. There is time consumption to this. A lot of people that see me doing this from my past businesses, I don't tell them what I'm doing now. First question, you make money with that?
Right.
It's like, yo, it's not about that, but they wouldn't get it. Because everything they do has to be about making money.
The ROI has to be super easy to understand.
Correct.
But the big thing is they don't understand is that social media allows people to know you without knowing you. I say all the shit I say on Instagram, my stories, these are all me. This is what I really believe, right? So like, I saw you interview, I reached out and I was like, yo, man, I think it'd be a good fit, have you on the show, We made it happen.
Right.
You were at my spot. We met some other people that perpetuate more and, in proximity. So it works if you do it with the right intention, right? Like, and that comes back to, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't understand why I don't get a chance, or I don't understand why, because you're not doing it with the right intent, man. That's really that simple. And when people, and I want to mention that while I talk to you, because you get it, right? You get it. And I wish more of our people would get it.
Well, that's why we're both doing this.
Correct.
Yeah, we do this to build a personal brand, which will serve our businesses respectively. It'll serve whatever we choose to do in the future and whatever avenue it takes. But we have this blind faith in ourselves that allows us to invest not only time and energy, but money into something that's inconceivable to other people and can't be, calculated with a spreadsheet or, there is no immediate ROI. But we just believe in ourselves because we've been taking so many risks on ourselves for so many years.
All our lives.
So to hear your story was dope because you are also a college-educated guy. You're also Latino, Puerto Rican.
Born in PR. I'm original Puerto Rican.
And then they shipped him out.
They shipped me out.
Quick, fast.
Too much swag. Get him out of here.
Too much swag. It was like 6 months. They were like, yo, he's dripping. Get him out of here.
Get him out of here.
So tell our audience a little about, being born in PR and then coming to the Bronx. What was your upbringing like?
I think the biggest thing, I thought about this on the way in. I'm a student of life, right? So when I came up with my mother from Puerto Rico, my father had, he went to Vietnam, he had some dependency issues. So we grew up in poverty, right? So then she remarried, whatever, and then we were like lower middle class. So to me, poverty means like, I don't know how I'm eating today. Lower middle class means like, you have sneakers, you know what you're eating, but you're renting.
Right.
Right. And then as I went to college, there's so much to go over, but as I proceeded in life, I always had my mouth shut and my ears open. And I took every opportunity. I think the one thing I can say to everybody is that any little opportunity I got, I made the most out of it, right? So that's why I'd be like, oh, it's so easy. Nah, bro, like, nah, I didn't know this was gonna happen. Like, I didn't know. I say, shit, I got an opportunity, let me just make it happen, right? I was the guy in the room, maybe with another student, and the teacher was giving them more attention, which is fine, but I was paying attention and executing, right? So that's how kind of my life kind of went on, to a point where my mother gets divorced, and you know, my wife now, who was pregnant at the time, was like, "Mom, I gotta buy something," right? And this is like, I didn't know any homeowners. Like, let me just like, I don't know how you grew up, but I didn't grow up like nobody. Everybody rented. Everybody like, you know, the hood. You know, like, you don't know. So I'm learning these terms. I'm learning, yo, this is the next step. I'm learning it on my own. And so I'm like, Mom, I'm gonna buy something. She's like, oh, well, what about me? I was like, well, let's buy two family. Like, I pivoted, right? So I'm that one in the family. I'm like, yo, let's do this. Yeah. Let's do that. So we bought a two family. Then, you know, you move on in life, bought another house, and then you move on in life.
How old are you when you buy your first two family?
I think I was 28, 28, wow, okay. 29. Was I? Yeah, 28, 29, 30. But my son is 20 now, so 20 years ago, so 30. I was 30, yeah. And you know, like, this is during the boom. I can correlate this into my trajectory, my career, right? So I had a liquor store and a nightclub at the time. Right. You said you used to go to the nightclub. So yeah. Candela on Castle Hill, for those who know. And I went to the bank, right? So we had $50,000 and we had you know, good FICOs, and that's all I knew about mortgages. Right. So I'm like, I go to the bank, I bank there, I deposit money there. So I'm thinking that's where you go. So I'm like, yo, listen, I need to buy a house. You know, can you pre-approve me? So I go with the lady, the manager. She walks me in, she sits me down, she opens this book. She's asking me questions, she's flipping the book. And at the end, I answer all the questions, she closes the book, she's like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. So that could have been the end of the story. So I was like, now this is 2005, where anybody in America, everybody was getting a loan. So I was like, nah, this ain't it. So
and you still got denied despite
I got denied the first time. People, right? I got denied the first time, right? So, but it goes back to who you're getting your advice from. So I'm like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't, like, my why was too strong, right? So I was like, all right, hold on, let me call my man up. I know he's in the industry. Maybe he knows somebody. So I called him up. He goes, yeah, I got you. Bank of Countrywide. This is a company that no longer exists, but right. My man Milton at Countrywide, he can help you. I get on the phone with Milton, Latino. He's like, hey kid, he's an older guy. And he's like, what do you want to do? I was like, I'm buy a house. I found the house already. It's 360. I remember all these numbers like yesterday, right? It's 360. I have 10% down. I just, you know, we have income, but I'm not sure. Like, that's all I knew. I didn't know any of these terms, right? I'm like, this is what we got. So he was like, no problem. Send me the approval. I'm fast forwarding 4 months later, we get the house, right? So boom, we go up that rung in the ladder. And then, you know, as you have a house, this is for people that don't own, like, you start, you know, want to make your house your own, right? So you start doing shit. So these are all the expenses that people talk about, but I'm like, yo, I'd rather pay for my own shit than never have shit. And there's something that changes in you as a person as you start becoming aware of ownership, of different things that coming from where I came from, and nobody knew. Like, I didn't know, you know, what it meant to be a homeowner. Like, I didn't know about tax returns. I didn't know about any of that shit. So anyway, going back to having the house, my boy who put me on, Chris, he works at a bank right now. He then calls me up and he's like, I told my boss, the president of the company wants to meet you. I'm like, for what? Like, he's like, I don't know, but I told him about you. And he was talking about doing something in the Bronx. I said, you the guy to talk to, So I was like, okay. I was like, all right, tell him pull up. I had this liquor store on 159 3rd Avenue, which is the hood, Fort Apache. And the guy pulls up, and he comes up to me. He's like, hey, nice to meet you, And he's like, look, this is what I'm looking to do. I'm originally from the Bronx. I live in Long Island now. He's a Jewish guy. And I want to buy properties in the Bronx, right? He's like, but I heard you're the guy to know. And he was like, so this is the deal. You find the property. If I find it's a good deal, I'll buy the property and I'll pay you a real estate broker commission fee. So I have no idea what any of this means. So I'm like, all right, what does that mean? Like, in terms of numbers. So he's like, I'll pay you 6% of a sale price, right? So I'm doing the math in my head. I'm selling Hennessy, making $8 a bottle. I'm like 6% of 300,000, 18,000. Like I'm like, hell yeah. So I find the first one, we do the deal, it closes, I get paid. Then I find another one, it closes, it gets paid. So I go to pick up my check, and I go to he owned the bank. He still owns the bank. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to blow him up, but I walk in the room, I think I told you the story, but I'm walking past like this big pit. I go upstairs and it's like 100 people on the phone, like Wolf of Wall Street. And I walk past all these young kids, and on the right I look and I see this whiteboard with numbers, like, 65, 75, 150, 275, just random numbers. So I walk past, I go over there, he's shining his shoes, and I'm like, yo, what's up? He's like, oh, Omar, nice to see you. And he's like, here's your check. And he was like, listen, how much do you make at the liquor store? And I was like, at the time I was like, I make like 110, like off the top of my head.
110,000 a year.
$110,000 a year, yeah, for context, right? So he goes, well, listen, I like your style, you're intelligent, you speak 2 languages. He goes, guys over here are making that a month. So I said, those numbers on the whiteboard. He goes,
in thousands?
Yeah. He goes, no, that's monthly. So that was it. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, monthly, man, 275. So I hired somebody immediately to work at my store, and I went to my second college, which was the bank. And I think from October, the last quarter of the year, I did, 8 deals. No training, bro. This is the train. The trainer was like, here's the phone.
On the job.
Here's the phone, make it happen. I was like, make what happen. No, but wait a minute. I didn't even know like program. I didn't know shit. They're like, just get somebody who's interested.
Right.
That was it. So I'm sales, right? So I think I made like 70 to 80,000 3 months. Wow. So I was like, that was it. I was in. I was like, all right, so if I could do this times 4, do the math real easy, and I was in. I was gone, man. I was gone. I ended up just shutting down a liquor store. I liquidated it. I just sold everything. I shut it down. I sold my half of the club.
Well, you capitalized on an opportunity.
Right. Well, I was able to see it because going back to before you start, like, I didn't know about this shit, right? It's like we usually don't get told about this stuff.
We don't know.
Right, there you go.
About a lot of things.
Yeah.
I wanna go back and just kind of go back to the childhood, because you mentioned lower middle class, and just to put things in perspective, what you said was like working class, but we thought we were lower middle class because maybe we had the better snacks at the house, or
the sneakers,
the better sneakers, better clothing, but we were still poor. We're just working class.
We just dress nice,
right? So to us, it's like middle class. Like where I live now is considered like middle class, upper middle class. Like, and the more I climb, the more I realize I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's not even a barrier anymore. So when we don't know anything, there's a ceiling. But then literally the door opens to this other industry. But I want to rewind to your childhood. So you grew up in the Bronx. What part of the Bronx?
Originally 196 in Jerome. For those that know Kingsbridge, Jerome Avenue, Fordham Road.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we moved when I was 12, 13, we moved to Pelham Bay, which was a nice part of the Bronx. And
you had your mom and your stepdad for a little bit?
Yeah, I had my stepdad from like, I would say like 10 to like 19.
How much of an influence did having, a man in the household? Because I know your father went to war. He had his own issues.
Listen, it's super incredibly important. Like, I majored in psychology, right? And a lot of these things, even Tony Robbins talks about modeling, right? What we don't understand subconsciously is that we tend to model after things that we see, right? So what I did was I took what I felt were good things from each male figure in my life and try to make a composite of who I thought I wanted to be, right? So it's super important because you don't know how to interact. You don't know how to, I was watching the show yesterday, which blew my mind, but we'll talk about that later. Like this guy, he's a ball player, NBA ball player, and he was raised by women, so he didn't know how to interact with men. Not in a sexual way. I'm just saying like, yo, I don't even know how to receive.
Like be one of the boys.
Yeah, I don't know how to receive like, yo, is he challenging me or is this funny?
Or he's just busting my chops because men that like each other bust each other's chops.
Well, unless you're around that, you won't know
similar.
that.
I was raised by women. I remember doing a leadership conference at Bronx Community College, the male leadership, program there. And they were like, who are some of the male influences in your life? And
you got none.
Damn, I had none.
Wow.
I had to dig. And the ones I had weren't good.
Right.
They were dudes from the street.
Right.
Family members that were always in trouble. But the good role models I had were the women in my life because they had the responsibility and they took on the responsibility of raising us and giving us what they knew, and they did the best that they knew how. So what I'm finding is the majority of people that I come across, majority, not everybody, that have found any level of success were more likely to have some kind of male figure in their life.
That's incredibly insightful. Okay.
It's rare that, but then you go to the NBA or you go to NFL, and a lot of these sports, people that we're familiar with, they were raised in single mother households.
Listen, just to touch on that for a second, like we look at all these like NBA players and like they make so much money in a little bit of time, right? And you think they're rich.
Well, the little bit of time that we know their name.
Right. A little bit of time, and then they're supposed to stretch that for the rest of their lives. Right? Keep that in context. Like, I love the fact that, I have IP with intellectual property in my head that I can forever generate money in some way, shape, or form. If all you know how to do is dribble or throw or catch, and then they take that away from you, break your leg, you're like, whatever. You get it, like finding your purpose is big. And a lot of people don't understand that, like, if this is your thing, right, and you no longer have your thing, you now have to reconstruct yourself. And I just make that statement because I think people, like they feel like, oh, this is the end. It doesn't have to be the end, but it takes incredible capacity as well as mindset, which is why we're here. The mindset to be able to say, yo, this ain't it. I got to change. How do I change? And be humble enough to know that, yo, I have to change. How do, what strengths do I have, right?
I know that education also played an important part in your life. You graduated NYU, correct?
Yes. First one in my family graduated from school.
College. And that's not just any school. That's one of the toughest schools in New York City and even the Northeast and probably in America these days to get into. So who instilled that value of education in you and how early on?
That's a great question. My mom, she would, this is the, you guys ready for it? This is it. Go to school. I'm like, okay, why? She's like, so you don't have to do this shit. What she did, break her back. She worked as a meat wrapper. She was in the ice box. Like, she was like, this ain't it. She didn't know what it was. Like, but this ain't it.
Your mother doesn't have an education.
Oh, no. She had me young. Yeah, she was like, no, this ain't it. Just this, I don't know what, be a cop, do whatever you want. Get, the pension, everybody wants the safe job. Something safety. But she just knew she didn't want me to do this, right? So now I have 3 young boys, and my thing was they have to get at least a bachelor's, right? I know there's a whole big thing against college right now, but for me, you have to continue to grow. And there's so much shit that you can learn it online and stuff like that, but to be immersed.
It's the people, it's the networking. You're gonna meet people from all over the city, all over the country.
That's the magic. The magic is the interaction, right? That's the magic.
I've had family members be protective, and they're usually moms. The moms don't want their daughters going away to school because of all the dangers that might come with that. And in my head, I used to fight it when I was young, like, because I knew how valuable going away to school was. I did 2 years at City College, community college, and then I did 2 years on scholarship and grants to go to 4-year college upstate, and that was a world apart. So you could go to City College and you're still in New York City. You still come home. You're still experiencing the same shit.
You're still around the same people.
The same neighborhood. And you still have that influence tugging at you, which caught up with me later on. So I implore them to send them away. But the moms being so fearful, they want to keep their babies close to them, and they actually do them, in my opinion, a disservice. And that's not a knock on them. It's the conversation of you don't know what you don't know, but a lot of people just aren't open to it. So your mom sees the value in education. She instills this in you. Go to school, I don't know why, because you don't want to be doing this shit.
Because this ain't it.
So how good of a student were you? Because you're obviously naturally gifted, you're smart, you're probably high IQ.
I was really... When I applied myself, I was really good. But you know what it is, man. Like you get to NYU Greenwich Village, right? You're meeting all these people, and the social hours are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I was retarded where I made my schedule Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I could hang out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I had a job, and because you're trying to take it all in.
You live on campus or you commuted back?
No, I commuted back and forth, but I stood in campus a lot. But I'll give you this one, right? I got in through what's called a HEOP program, Equal Opportunity Program.
Yeah, I know.
And it was about 90 of us when we went in, right? So we had to take these summer classes before to onboard us to teach us basic shit, time management, the internet, like shit that we didn't have access to. I know this is like really dating me, but out of those 90, I can tell you 4 that I know graduated. So the attrition rate is bananas.
Wow.
The attrition rate is crazy.
90 went into EOP, 4 ended up doing the 4 years of graduate.
That I know. And I graduated a semester late because I had a son. So there was a class I needed that
He's Puerto Rican, yo.
Yeah,
so
I had a son in 19. It is what it is, man. Like, you know, I
forgot to pull out.
And all these things are who make us who we are, right? Like,
of course.
Our stories are individual, but I think without these knocks, you don't really get to like appreciate the good. Like, you know, I'm not saying that life is pain. I'm just saying that unless you've suffered, you really don't know what happiness is.
So you graduated at 22. You had a son at 19.
I graduated 21.
21.
I went in at 17.
Oh, wow.
So here's another little tidbit.
Like Puerto Rican Doogie Howser from the Bronx.
I was going. No, I was just going. You know what it is? Is like my mom got divorced, or there was a rush. There was like, yo, get in, get out, get a job. Like there was always that pressure.
So you needed to help.
I had financial help. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the part where like a lot.
So this is building who you are
building
today.
Character, right? So
I know your classmates for the most part.
They were chilling.
Working.
They were chilling.
They definitely didn't have kids, and they didn't have to chip in at home.
No,
they had probably.
Listen, man. I'm an outlier to the degree. Like every time, like you hear part of my story, you're like, all right, it ends here. It ends here. And I'm like, no, it's not ending here. I don't know how, but I'm gonna figure this shit out, right?
But those are the resilient. Those are the things that make you. You know what I mean? The quicker that you can go through the fire, the stronger you get, the faster you get.
Well, during the time you're going through it, you don't really understand that shit. You're like, what the fuck, this sucks, right?
Like, God, give me a break here.
I wish I could hang out. And you're like, yo, I gotta do this. So, well, going back to what I was gonna say, so like I have friends of mine that are holding their kids back a year in school because they feel that, you know, maturity-wise, it'd be better for them. And that's dope if you have that luxury, right? If you have that luxury. My shit was never luxury. It was like, yo, you're gonna make this happen and, you know, make it and keep making it happen. So that's kind of like always been, like I had that conversation. I forgot who asked me the other day. They were like, well, how is it that I was like, because I had to. Because there was nobody else. If I look behind me, there was nobody there. I was like, it's either I'm gonna make it happen or I could just go fold away and go, you know, like, and cry. And that's just not me, right? So it's either we die on our own terms or live forever wondering. And I'll rather die on my terms. I say that all the time because, like I said, the story could have ended so many different ways, right? And the story is still evolving. Like, we don't know where we're gonna end up. Like, me and you, we kind of met online, but we're both moving things in a big direction. So imagine, like I told you before, having big dogs run together is a big different. It's a different thing, right? Like, so the normal guys will be like a little intimidated, but the real secure guys, they're like, yo, how do we leverage?
How do we make money together?
How do we leverage? How do we leverage
from each other? Right?
Yeah. And that is the reason for to be on your show, to let people know that, yo, man, stop with the small thinking. Right. Stop with the small thinking, because that's what it is.
So has your mindset toward education shifted? I mean, I know you said your children, you want them to have minimum bachelor's degree. They're all how old now? How old's the youngest?
21. He's gonna be 21.
Damn,
that's the baby.
They're going to school.
Yeah, he's going to his last year. I don't know.
So education is still extremely important to you.
I think it's a minimum criteria.
I agree.
Okay.
And I agree for our people of color, people in inner cities, people from poverty. Education is probably the easiest, safest, most reliable tool for us to work our way to at least a base level where then generational progress can kick in.
Well, we're so behind in our thinking, in our secular way of being, that education to me also means that you're exposing yourself to other cultures to understand. Like, you got to understand how to interact, right? Like, the hood is the hood, and I can go to the hood and interact. I've also sat with billionaires, like, and I can interact. It's just, we're all the same. It's just the way we interact, right? And you know, there's this term they call code switching, and to me, it's not code switching. It's, you have to know your audience, my man.
Code switching would probably be the hood's explanation for you're a chameleon. Like, you play one way with this, you play this other way with this other group.
Well, the answer is so you can understand. That's it. That's really it. It's not. I'm not being unauthentic. I'm just talking to you in a way you can digest, and that's the part where it gets a little tricky, right? Because you don't want to be like on some, you're beneath me, but yo, you're not gonna get it. You're not, and this is gonna be, I might make some enemies on this statement, but you're not accredited to understand that concept. No disrespect, but you didn't get the education. So I gotta dilute it and dumb it down so you can understand it.
Well, you know, the world is black and white to an idiot. That's the reality. And the hood is full of idiots. that think they know everything,
Yeah.
and they fucking just repeating the same shit over and over. And then if you have the audacity to step outside of that and think you better than us,
challenge it, right? You challenge
it's
it.
Chris Rock's, line. It's like you come home from college, but you still in the hood. Oh, you think you better than us?
Right.
Oh, you a smarty art? Like come on, man. But those are the dudes that you're gonna still see on the park bench. Mm-hmm. They're just gonna age ungracefully.
Yeah.
They're gonna get diabetes.
Yeah.
Have a drug program, have a few baby mamas, baby daddies. I mean, those are not people that you should be learning lessons from. But unfortunately, because of the absence of strong homes, because of the absence of education, because of the absence of resources, those are the people that we learn our fucking lessons from.
Yo, we see them, and like, there's so many different sayings, and you probably know more than I do. Like, proximity is power, right? So you want to be something, you got to be around people that are doing that.
Right.
I can't say I want to be a Harvard scholar and hang out in the corner all day. It just doesn't work that way, right? It's like saying I want to be Diesel, but I don't go to the gym. Bro, what are you doing there? Like, come on, like, let's be real. Let's be real. Like, you can say I want to be a superhero, but you don't have no superpowers. It just doesn't work that way.
We talked about it on your show. It's like, how many of our people have ideas? Yo, I want to do this thing. It was like, I want to do a lot of things, but what are you doing to actually move the needle?
Well, you said it, and I'll just add on to that. Everybody has an idea, but without execution, it's just a dream. It's just a wish. Like, yo, what's the plan? What we doing? How we doing?
Wish.
Yeah, you just wish.
It's literally making a wish without the genie lamp.
And then being upset that it didn't happen. I was like, but what did you do?
And that's where it becomes resentful, and that's where we coined the term haters.
Yeah.
It's you're holding up a mirror to somebody that came from where you came from, experienced many of the same things you experienced, but you're making all the strides, you're making the money, you're driving the nice car, you're wearing the nice kicks, and they still in the same fucking place. So the way that they make sense of it is, well, you sold out.
Yeah.
It's gotta be
you Illuminati.
You're not keeping it real.
Yeah.
But the reality is that person is reminded of the fact that they didn't make any progress every time they see somebody like you or see somebody like me. And I jokingly say, unfortunately the hood, as much as I want to help, is not my audience. People from the hood, yes, but it has to be a specific group of people or young adults from the hood or kids that want better from themselves.
They gotta want it, they gotta know that they want it, but the biggest thing becomes, and this is just not financial, right? This is emotional and spiritual, right? How many people that you know, because I know people personally, right, that they'll complain to you consistently, you give them a solution, they don't execute, and they come back to you, and then they're like, yo, why are you not listening to me? I'm like, because I told you what to do. You just choose not to. So it's a bad investment for me. Like, I mean, I love you, but come on, bro. How many times have this? I'm gonna get a headache.
Focus on.
Yeah.
When you focus on the problem, you're gonna always get the problem.
Right.
And it's gonna come back to the problem. And you may take one step forward, but you're gonna take the step right back to the problem because you are not looking for a real solution. You're looking for an excuse. And that is the difference between anybody, no matter where they come from, no matter where they started. Are you blaming others for where you're at? Or are you taking accountability for what you're not doing and trying to shift up and make changes and make adjustments so that you can move forward?
Looking in the mirror is hard.
It is.
Yeah, looking in the mirror is hard. Even for myself, like all the time. And let me just say, it's every day, guys. It's not like, I did it this year. No, every day, because you can always tweak. You can always. Life is a game of adjustment. Right? It's like sports. So you adjust, right? You got to keep adjusting. And in
boxing, basketball,
football, anything is adjustments, right? So then you keep adjusting to find your way to be the version of the person you want to become.
Right.
But it doesn't happen like in a vacuum. It happens through the work, right? There's a saying that I love, like all the results or all the dreams that you have are behind the work you don't want to do. Right? So just get to work.
The work
Dude, get to it, man. Write it down. Whatever is your method, get to it. And don't think it's gonna happen tomorrow. Give it some time. The same way you got here all fucked up 30 years, give yourself a few years to kind of correct yourself, right? It becomes that, man. It's the whole Amazon Prime generation that they think everything
is the instant gratification, man. You want food, boom. You want an answer to a question, boom. But unfortunately, they're asking all the wrong questions.
Correct.
You want fucking job? We talked about it. It's like, yo, We used to have to knock on doors, print out resumes, present ourselves.
Take denials to the face?
Yo, to the face.
Right?
That builds resilience.
Yeah.
I met, a lot of people that I'm meeting now in these high-level circles and these masterminds I'm in are Mormon from the West Coast, from Utah and places. There's a huge Mormon population. And I just became familiar with the background. It's like Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. We used to see the TV commercials.
I remember that.
We had Jehovah's Witness
and
the Christians and you have the Somos Catholic here on the door. Don't knock on my door. But if you're from New York, you know what I'm talking about. But the Mormons, they are knocking on doors similar to Jehovah's Witness early on. So they are faced with rejection
all the time,
repeatedly. And speaks to the fact that, like we said, fail early, fail often, and they are thrown into a culture that inadvertently they're forced to fail early and often just by knocking on doors, preaching the word of, Jesus Christ to people that may not want to hear it. So, our version in New York would be Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, going back to what you said, that builds resilience, right?
It does.
Because it's not a personal thing.
Absolutely.
Right? Like they say sales. You can sell anybody. Sales, believe it or not, is really good on timing. Like anytime I walked into the dealership, I'm buying a car. Like it just like why am I walking in here? I'm not
right.
You're not down the block from my house. I'm buying a car. So like it's the right time, right place. I'll give you an example. The car I drive now, the Alpina. That was on my dream board or my vision board.
Vision board.
In 3 years, right? That was my next thing, right? So I'll tell you the quick story just to give you an example of how being ready.
Yeah, what's the process look like?
No, check it out. So I had got the X7. A black X7. I don't even know how much the car costs, whatever. So I got it, and then when I went to pick up my wife's electric car, I put a deposit on it. She wanted to get an electric car, and I had to build out. I had talked to my boy who's a mechanic who does like high-end shit. I was like, yo, I remember the Jaguars back in the day, green and the peanut butter in the middle. Like, remember back in the 90s, that was like the drug dealer's car? I was like, yo, I think my next car, I said, is gonna be the Alpina racing green with peanut butter inside, right? So my sales guy, he comes out, he goes, yo, hold on. He runs out, he goes, yo, look at this build out. It was exactly what I had described. I had not ordered it, somebody else ordered it. I was like, oh shit. I was like, when it comes in, I'd like to see it. Humble, just not on some, yo, I gotta get it. It was all cool. This is during COVID. So then I get a call on a Saturday. I remember he said, yo, the car is here if you wanna see it. I was like, I wanted to see it, to drive it, whatever, So then he called me back an hour later. Oh, I'm sorry, the guy, he picked it up. Or he signed for it, can't drive it. I was like, all right, cool, no problem. A week later, I get a call again. Yo, you want to see the car? I said, yo, what we doing? I was like, why are you playing with my emotions? Like, I wanted to see it last week. It was gone. It's all good. I'm good living my life the way I am. He goes, I can't talk about it on the phone, but if you want to come see it, come to Greenwich. So I went to Greenwich, Connecticut, where they keep all the higher end cars. So I went to Greenwich, I drove it. It's a V8 twin turbo, 4.6 in 60 seconds. It's like everything. It's like a monster, right? Like, rom. So I'm like, yo, dope car. But, I had just gotten into this black lease, not too long ago. I was like, so I don't want to be over. So he goes, check it out. He's like, the kid came in with a G-Wagon. He had paid $50,000 over sticker, so he was upside down, right? You understand the terms? Like he was negative equity.
COVID.
Yeah. So because niggas was just spending money. So I was like, well, I don't want to be negative equity, and I don't want to put any money down because I wasn't.
Right. It was just reckless.
Right. I wanted the car that he was like, yo, I sold your car already. He said, I sold your car. We're taking that money. We're flipping the car. No money down. So I was like, bet. And that's how I got my car. And now 3 years early.
Right.
Just to let you know,
it just appeared.
I just happened to be ready. But
it just appeared too. Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty specific build.
That's crazy, right?
For a specific car.
Right.
To have that in your cipher of people that you knew in car dealerships.
The law of attraction, baby.
That's manifestation. Yeah. And you know what? That is a hint that you are, on the right path.
I'm on the right frequency, right?
Yeah. People don't understand that. So I want to go back to your early career. You graduated psychology, very useful degree, right? By the way,
I think so. Well, one of my friends says, "Oh, you must be rich, right? Because what are you gonna do with that?" I was like, "I don't know. I really don't know."
You must be rich because you just wasted 4 years.
He wasted money. He was like, I was like, originally I wanted to be a cop, right? I want to be a FBI agent because, like, you see the movies, the gun. Right. Then I saw what they made. And I was like, yeah, and I was like, nah, that ain't it, man. That ain't for me. I don't have that luxury, right? So I had to figure it out. So I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. I had a few jobs out of college. And then one of my friends was like, yo, you should open a liquor store. I found the spot, da-da-da, da-da-da.
The hood dream, baby.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah. He was like, yeah. He's like, I'll help you run it, da-da-da, da-da-da. So the concept was for me to open the first one, us to make enough money, open up one for him. It was 3 of us. So going back to financial literacy. So I'm there with my two best friends for years. And we opened the store in October. And so liquor business is 2 cycles. First cycle is January through September, and then second cycle is October to December. What that means is you make as much you make in a year in 3 months, right? The holiday season.
Those 3 months.
The holidays, bananas, right?
Thanksgiving, right. Christmas, New Year's.
There you go, right? So then they saw all this money coming in. I was the only one to put money up, cash money, besides the work. And they're like, yo, we want to be partners. I was like, yo, I love y'all dudes, right? I said, but can I get my 50 out? Let me get my 50, that's what I put in. Just cash, liquid money, 50,000. Let me get it out, and then we could be partners. I thought that was fair. That's not fair. That's not the way it works. So I lost 2 of my best friends at the time, but I look at it now talking to you, and I'm like, yo, it had to be done because they just weren't on the same page, right? They couldn't see the way I saw the world, right? Like one of them, I got to
put up the equity, put up the fucking swag.
No, one guy was like, I got a paycheck. I was like, yo, we just opened, right? And then the other one was like, I need a paycheck if he's getting a paycheck.
Entitlement.
I was like, yo, this is crazy. I was like, this money is not even ours yet.
Running a welfare program at the liquor store.
I was running a welfare program. Never heard that before. But so our friendship ended. That February, I was like, yo, we sat down. Yeah. I was like, yo, fellas, what do you think you guys are owed? Because this is, I'm leading into what I want to say.
I still heard the word partnership, and I'm like, where was their partnership?
Right. So they gave me their numbers, and I paid them. I didn't have it, but I paid them. I paid them. So this is the statement I want to make, right? Everything we do is based on who we are. It should have nothing to do with the other person on the other side. So I'm a big believer in that. I've taken L's, bro. I've taken $1 million L's, and I'm okay with it because I'm like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have been in business with that person. Maybe maybe it would have been like some parasitical, some shit that would have fucked up my soul, right?
Cut the cancer out before it got too bad.
So that's the way I look at it, and I keep going forward. Going back to those guys, I see them. I don't see one of them. I saw the other one. He wanted to make a match, and we're cool, but. The scars are there. You're like, yo, man, it is what it is, man. So.
But you're mature enough to wish them well.
No, listen, it's all good, man. It's all, high fives and all that. But I'm like, at 20, we opened it when I was 28. That fucks with you for a second. Because you're thinking, reality, your friends, and you don't know shit.
You think you're going to be friends for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So those are scars you take with you.
How important is it to let go of some of the people where you start your journey at?
It's not so much to let go as to limit your accessibility. That's how I feel. Like, there's some people in your life that because of who you are empathetically, you want to help, but you can't help somebody from themselves. Right. And that's a big statement, right? So you're like, yo, man, I don't think you should do that. He does it anyway. Going back to what I said before. All right, conversation's over.
Right now, very good
conversation's over. Yo, why don't you call me no more? I was like, what you want to talk about, bro? Let me guess. You want to talk about this, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, we spoke about that already. Either you execute or get out the way. I was like, I got shit. I got 3 boys. I got a wife. I got a life. I want to. So now if this is a bad investment, and I was like, I don't have any malice to you, but you're not doing like you asking me for my advice. I'm giving it to you.
I call those ask-holes. People that ask for your advice
and don't do shit.
They'll get it from multiple people. And they'll still do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
Ask-hole. You heard it here first.
Ask-holes. Don't be an ask-hole.
L-E.
Don't be an asshole.
Also, liquor store, hood dream. You didn't do the laundromat. You didn't do the bodega. You did the liquor store. And that transitioned then into Candela, the nightclub.
Right.
Lounge.
Right. Some guys.
Castle Hill.
I got into that by being their liquor sponsor. Like they were like short on money. There's 2 partners. And one was always short on money. So I was giving them liquor and money and whatever, just being supportive of a friend. And finally got to a point where one wanted the other one out. And I just happened to be so invested that I had to go in.
You had credit.
I was like, I had to make sure this shit work. And then, I was there for like a year with the guy, and the kid was, he was a heavy dude. So he was like really infatuated with, like being popular and the women. I'm like, that's cool, but that's not why I'm here.
Right.
I was like, so eventually I was like, yo, man, just buy me out, bro. Let me get out of here. And then that's when the banking thing happened. And
how long were you in the nightclub?
A year or less.
What was that experience like?
You see people at their worst. I know. I mean, look, one of the craziest, and without naming names, right? One of the craziest memories I have is me opening the door after it closed, and I see somebody hitting another guy with a bat, and I close the door. I was like, oh shit. Another one, New Year's Eve, we didn't let some people in. They shot the door. Like, I was like, this ain't for me, bro. Like, I'm not making it like, I'm not doing like Jimmy. Like, he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
We're on a very small scale. I was like, this ain't for me. It's not worth it for me. And that's why I knew I had to get out of that.
Candela was where? Castle Hill?
Castle Hill and Story, is it? Or, I don't know. It's a small spot.
Yeah, it's like
bro.
A bar.
The maximum capacity was 60. Felix Trinidad fight. 200 people in and out of that motherfucker. I remember that day because I was like, this is scary. There's so many people. Yeah. I was this could be bad. Right. So I was like, again, going back to, I don't know if this is for me. Like, because, you want to be accommodating. Right. But you got to kind of, be a dick sometimes. You're like, we can't let you in.
Listen,
come on.
Everybody's drunk.
Come on, you my man. I was like, I'm your man. There's 200 people in there. Where are you supposed to fit, bro? Like, where am I supposed to do with this?
And I mean, you opened up with, you see people at their worst. And I just remember, we'd be fucking just, everybody goes to go hard because you're living for the weekend.
Yeah.
And it's not just liquor. There's ecstasy's popping at the time, and Molly, and just coke, whatever the fuck you do.
Look, I'll add to that.
It's going on. So people at their worst.
Let me add to that. This is statute of limitations is over. So my money was really made in the after hours, right? So when we closed at 4:00, there was guys that were paying $400 a bottle. They wanted to smoke weed. All right, man. Well, give me a G, and I'll stay an extra hour. Right. And then you get home, you smell like crazy. And remember, I had both businesses, so I had to wake up in like 4 hours, and it was not sustainable.
It's crazy because I love diving in because we're both college educated, but we both come from humble beginnings, single moms for the most part. Mm-hmm. You would think we would have went the route of going to get a fucking 9 to 5, but something called you to be a hustler.
Yeah.
What was that? Who was your early mentor, your early influence? What'd you see? What'd you hear? What fucking sparked that in you?
You know what it is? I don't have any mentors, right? But I've always listened. I've had good people. When I mean by good people that gave me advice from the heart, not from self-interest. Like when I was working at a gym at 17, 16, and I met one of the biggest drug dealers in the Bronx, and I was like, "Yo, put me on," because you're like, "Yo, I want to drive a Range Rover. I'm 17, right?"
Not knowing what goes along.
Yeah, he was like, "You're in college." He's like, "Stay in your lane." He's like, "No," and hearing it from somebody you respect is different from hearing from your homeboy. Nah, don't worry about it because you're like, fuck you don't know. This guy knows. Right. This guy ended up doing 36 years. Yeah. He ended up doing 36 years. I was like, fuck. Yeah. But I'm so glad that he kept it real. He wasn't just trying to use a young kid. Because you know how it is. Right, the hood gets the hood gets the young kids. Yo, do this, do that, do that. And they don't know any better. You give them $100, they're like, oh, this is exciting, right?
Yeah, listen, I've held guns and gone to house parties thinking I was cool holding a gun at 15, 16 for some motherfucker that knew better.
Meanwhile, you get caught up.
I get caught up. It's not mine.
Yep.
And I'm dealing with the repercussions. So that dude was actually a good dude.
He was an angel. Like I look at that like I'm not trying to get religious, but you find people in your path that if you listen and you pay attention, they're really good people that were put there to kind of guide you. Because it was like that moment where you could have gone left or right. Right. And luckily I went the right way.
And a lot of our mentors that it didn't have to take you under the wing, but he looked out for you.
Yeah.
So a lot of people we grow up with aren't people we want to necessarily model our life after in the long run.
Right.
But they're people that we run into that divert us from going down that path. So you're educated, but you're still in the hood with a liquor store. You're seeing people at their worst in the liquor store because, you're open till late hours. Did you have the little bulletproof glass?
Of course. 159 3rd, bro. Of course. Yeah. So, look, I had a little spot. I had a room on the side.
You do delivery since the statute of limitations?
No, I got you. Yeah, to the clubs. But wait, this is definitely the statute of limitations. So I had opened a next spot in my liquor store. It was closed. And it was like a speakeasy. So the cops in full uniform were smoking cigars and drinking liquor in my store.
Nice.
Yeah, that was
on duty.
Yeah, on duty probably. I don't know. I wasn't checking their time cards, but just to give you an example of how, like, you know, being creative, right? Things that I believe in now, like what I'm doing in the Bronx right now with my building, making an experience. Like the cops wanted a place to hang out, right? All right, I got you. So now I'm winning because everybody knows there's cops in here.
Right.
Nobody coming in acting crazy, right? So, and they're not doing something totally right, but yo, it is what it is, and not hurting nobody either.
Well, you're innovating. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You're just innovating in a way that is. And same shit with me is you getting your money legally, kind of
gray area. Yeah,
right?
It's not bad.
It's funny because the lines are muddy when you grow up how we grow up. It's like you don't see shit being illegal. You just seeing it as I'm gonna make some money.
We're right at the line. We're right at the line.
Yeah, I just stepped over that line a few fucking times and not get caught. But you know what? There's a saying, right? How many people would be in jail if they were actually caught? Like a lot of people commit felonies.
Yeah.
Definitely misdemeanors. The majority of society commits misdemeanors.
I forgot this kid. I ran up on him. Like I was picking up my wife. This was years ago. He goes, and his name is Gano. I think he passed away. So rest in peace. He goes to me, bro, they caught me for this. I'm glad they only caught me for that. Yeah. And that really resonated. Like, oh shit, yeah, bro, I get it. Like,
crazy.
He's like,
you don't realize till you get caught. Like, oh shit, I was supposed to be doing that. Yo, it's fucking great because this is a real conversation between two men that obviously would never want our children to go down this path, but know the value in it because it made us who we are. So we don't have regrets. You know, I got caught up. You never got caught up. Whatever. Everybody's story's their own. As long as we're able to take accountability for that. So we move on from the nightclub scene after the liquor store, and then we find HGRN. We find
HGRN is not till 2012. So from 05 to 2012, I was working at different banks, right? I was working at I won't name them. Some of them don't exist anymore. But the guy who recruited me to do real estate, he owned the bank. So
specific to real estate.
Yeah. So he was like, "Yo, you should be a loan officer." So again, I don't know what the fuck that means. I'm like, he's like, well, people need mortgages. Again, I don't know anybody who owns a lot.
Now these are smaller banks that work with people.
These are mortgage banks. These are like Countrywide, like Bank of America, not like Bank of America or Chase, but smaller that all they do is mortgages, right? So I'm like, all right. So then I start, and so there's branches, and they start competitions, right? So my name comes up. Well, before I go there. So I wanted to learn, like I was there and I was taking applications and then submitting them, but I wanted to learn how this worked, right? Always being a student. I made friends with the underwriter, Carrie. She was a Cuban lady, smoked a lot of cigarettes. So I would sit there in the back and watch what she did with the computer program while she's smoking. I'm like dying and shit. Buy them, because I want to learn. Because I'm like, if I learn, nobody can take it away from me, right? So anyway, so I learned for a few months with her. They put up my name against other branches, and this other guy's name comes up. He's in Huntington. I'm in Syosset, and it's my name against his name a lot. So finally, Carrie comes up to me and goes, "Listen, I'm about to be out. I got an offer for $100,000 a year, doing whatever, like more money than I'm making now. But I told him about you, and I'm like, okay." She's like, "You should go over there, interview with him, because I want you to come." So at that time, the money was being a little funny. Like, I don't know if it's really being funny when I think about it, talking to you now, but I just know nobody explained to me like when we're supposed to get paid. So like, there was always a story, right? I'm supposed to get $45,000, oh, you get 20, but you get in 30 days. I'm like, yo, how the fuck am I gonna live? Like, all that. So nobody ever explained it to me. So anyway, I went to interview.
It's a legal hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. They hold your money as long as they can.
Yeah, to keep you there.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I go meet with the kid.
Get that last commission check, your ass is out.
So I go interview, and it's the kid from Huntington, where I'm on Syosset. He's like, and he's there. He's younger than I am, and he's pitching me, hey, this and that. I said, look, B, his name is Brian. I said, B, look, two things. When do we get paid? I was like, and when can I, like, how early, how late? Because I used to drive from the Bronx, 45 miles, right?
Right. When you said Bronx and Syosset and Hudson, I'm like, damn, that's around here.
But that's how I learned, right? So I would drive 45 minutes to an hour every day, but I would come in at 9 and leave at like 7, 8 o'clock at night. That's how well, just to give context to like, people think, oh, it's so easy. No. I put the hours in, right? And while I was here, I was learning how to create a business. I was learning desktop underwriting. I was learning all the tools you really need to become independent, which I didn't know until later. So I make the move. I go over there, but I'm Spanish. So I'm from the Bronx, so my name gets around the Bronx. So I'm getting calls a lot for Bronx deals, which is great. So I meet, the building that you met me in is an attorney's building, and he's like, I got referred a deal. I do the deal. We go to closing. This is 08, the meltdown. We go to closing. They call for funding, meaning for the money. The bank's out of business. No problem. 2 weeks later, I get into the same deal. I get it done again. New bank, we close it. So finally, the attorney's like, yo, I want to meet this kid. Because this guy's nonstop. He just keeps, and we became friends. So at a certain point, I was like, man, this fucking 50 miles a day each way is kind of tearing on me. So I went over there. I was like, listen, I'd like to meet clients on the weekend if possible, or on Friday, Saturday. So like, I just want a home base in the Bronx. During the meltdown, so he had let everybody go, the building. He gives me keys, like, go ahead, man, make it happen. And that's kind of how I got to the Bronx. And I started really making it happen more and more and more and more. So it's just relationships, right? I was always a stand-up guy. You always
did what you were supposed to do. I mean, We're hearing that even when you paid people that didn't deserve to get paid, took losses and did the right thing.
I take L's and keep my nose up.
I always say, change the world, don't let it change you. So the world is always going to throw things at you which are going to compromise or can compromise your values. It would be very easy to revert back to survival mode.
Yeah.
But when you stay in integrity and you stay true to who you are and you do the right thing even when others around you aren't, you're going to be rewarded. Even if not today, tomorrow, a month from now, it will pay dividends because you're not selling a piece of yourself off for the immediate. Yeah. You're holding on to the true you for the future. And what's crazy is you talk about that office you got in the Bronx. So when I went to interview over there for your podcast, I look on the wall and I'm like, I know that dude. And I go over to the picture frames on the wall, which haven't been changed in obviously like 20-something years. And my man Jamie Santana, who was on the show a few weeks ago, is on the wall. And that used to be his old office. And I got to connect the two of you because he was, I guess, mentored by one of the attorneys there young early in his career.
Jose's the OG.
He went on to be, just an amazing attorney. First judge in Orange County, Puerto Rican from the Bronx. We actually invited him to, potentially work with us with the KR3T's dance organization, and we've reconnected after 20-something years of hanging out in the clubs, through friends. So again, when you're in your purpose, everything lines up, brother. I'm going to introduce the two of you because I think you get along well. And I think he'd be a great fit for your podcast. He's also starting his own.
Oh, good.
And we are all about lifting each other up, giving each other a platform, giving each other a voice in the hopes of avoiding some mistakes for the future generations. So I say that to say that your journey's been pretty remarkable, to say the least.
It's definitely colorful.
Well, you know what? Those are the best. Those are the best ones, man. Nobody wants some boring ass.
Is this the end? Is this the end? No, it's not the end.
Nah, bro, this is just the beginning. I think we talked about that. So tell us more about what you're doing today and promote the shit out of it, because if somebody needs help, how can you help them and what you're doing right now?
I can help them in different ways, right? So HGRN Capital is a mortgage bank. I can help people get loans for houses they need. If they're been denied, definitely call me and I'll tell you why I've been denied and tell you how you can fix it so you don't get denied again, or tell you why you're not ready yet and what you have to do to get ready. I'm really good at coaching. We have the real estate company where we negotiate buy and sell. I'll give you a quick story. I had a client with a brownstone in Brooklyn. I get a call from the attorney saying, hey, they're gonna sell it to a friend of theirs, da-da-da. What do you think? I said, well, he's selling at 1.5. It's a shell building. I said, that's cool. If they can close quick, it's a friend thing, they should do it. 6 months later, they come back to me, hey, the guy hasn't closed yet. Can you look into him? So I sat with the guy, da-da-da, we do the numbers. I'm like, Bob, you don't qualify. It's fine, but don't do this to these people. They're holding onto something, and you're hurting them because they're paying electricity, taxes, water, whatever. So finally she's like, can you list it for us? I was like, no problem. So we listed it at $2 million. It was a shell of a building, meaning it was basically a knockdown rehab. We got them 1.7, right? Which is, if you think about 1.5, 1.7, you don't think it's a big deal, but $200,000 is a big deal, especially to our people, right? $200,000 that's going to a family, that's a big deal. So I felt really good about that. I was able to get them more money, and a fair market, and they were closed in like, I would say 6 months, maybe 4 to 5 months. They closed. So
and
they got their money.
Commercial space?
No, it's a regular brownstone in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Regular brownstone in Brooklyn. But going back to they were trying to give it to somebody who really couldn't do it.
Right.
And instead of being straight, they were like, oh yeah, like, oh, I put $80,000 in rehab. I went to the building. I was like, where? I was like, he didn't do shit. I was like, so I'm all about getting our people the right deal, right? The right deal, know what you're worth. 1030 exchanges. Like, there's a lot of concepts I can go on and bore everybody with, but I'm educated in it. So I can kick game to you, whether you use me or not, I don't care. And then finally, the third part of the business now has been branding consulting, right? People are asking me, yo, how do you do this? How do you do that? Well, why I see you everywhere? I'm like, well, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And eventually so many free conversations when I was like, yo, I'm gonna have to charge, right?
Right.
And the big part about it with the proliferation of AI and this and that, like everybody gets caught up with tech. Tech is undefeated, but there's the human aspect that has to be the work. Going back to what I tell you, the work. Like, oh, how do you get so much engagement? Yo, because when I'm washing my car, I'm commenting. I'm like I'm engaging, like social. Like why does your social media work so much better than mine? I was like, because I'm social, because I actively participate. Like now we're cool. You see me when I have time. Boom, boom, boom. I'm knocking it out.
Collaborating,
it helps.
generous with it.
Yeah, it helps. But it has to be genuine.
Right.
Going back to doing things because of who you are, not what you expect, right? And that if there's any theme that I think should come from this podcast with you and I, because this relationship starting is because of who we are, not what we can do for each other. It has nothing to do with that. If we can, great, love to be your guy. If not, so what, we still cool. And that should be the attitude for everybody, right? And that if more people approach life that way, it would be fucking scary. What shit would get done?
Yeah. So what does the future hold for you, Louis? What do you see for yourself in 5, 10, 20 years from now?
Wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna open my own fund where I'm lending my own money. I'm a real estate investor. I own a 21 unit apartment building, 50. Like I do shit. But the one thing I say about that, once you get there, you think like you get to this level of success. You get there, you start learning there's more responsibility. All right, that's why everybody thinks, oh, I just did it and I'm rich.
Yeah, money just sit back.
The fucking money is just hitting me in the face. No, bro, it's not like that. It's like it's continuous work, continuous adjustment.
Get a roofing bill for like $500,000.
It's continuous adjustment. Like and
more money, more problems.
That's the one thing I want people to understand. Like it should be a journey, and there's no end, right? There's no end because you like I thought I got a house, I got $1 million house. Yeah, you got to pay for that stuff, right? And then, or you want your kids to be better versions of you. Yeah. That takes time. Like, you got to be there. Like, one thing I tell my kid all the time, like, yo, having your mother and me available to you is by design. It's not like, oh, I just happen to be home all the time. I designed that because I didn't have grandma. I told my mom was at work. I was locked in the house. There was no social media. There was no phones. Right. I was a prisoner in the South Bronx.
I literally learned the term latchkey kid. Like in the last few years, that's what my better educated or better my lighter skinned counterparts call it latchkey kid, which is basically our parents work, so we pretty much we'd be home after school
and raise ourselves.
I was a latchkey project kid, and so many of us were that our parents decided to go work for a living, but they did instill that value in us in getting up and going to work and struggling through it and having credit at the bodega and doing whatever it took.
The big thing you're saying there is going back to modeling, right? Like people sometimes they'll be like, oh, I want to get in shape. Oh, I'm like, all right, cool, right? You're in shape. I'm in decent shape. Well, this is what it takes. Oh, that's crazy. Bro, if it's crazy, then don't ask me. Like, it's not crazy unless you need it, right? Then that's crazy. Oh, I have diabetes now. Oh, that's crazy to me, bro. But maybe you should stop eating cake all day. But it's the hard conversations that we have to have and be okay with telling people, yo, that ain't it.
Cool.
That ain't it. Oh, it must be nice. Bro, what? I was like, what must be nice? Oh, you drive this, you do that. Bro, I work for it. I go get it. I don't got it. I go get it. That's the term I use.
I haven't heard it must be nice in so long.
All the time.
Because my favorite is, you're the only one doing good. Doing good is the hood term for, must be nice.
No, it's by design. Yeah. And it's and you have to understand that there's a sacrifice to everything, right? That's another message that we have to drop. Like, it doesn't, like, you don't look this way because you wake up like this. Nigga, I get up, like sometimes I'm tired, like my back hurts today. Well, stretch out, do what you can do, start moving, and it gets better. Most people be like, oh, my back hurts, I'm staying in bed. Yeah. I play basketball Wednesday, my shoulders are killing me, bro. I'll be back there Sunday.
Yeah, I be seeing you balling, I'll be like, you're the man, because I'll fucking twist an ankle, tear an Achilles.
Yeah, because we're big boys. We're not like skinny, jumpy boys.
I'm not moving like that these days. I work with a lot of orthopedists. That's why I built my company around medical supplies. And they said the number one injury that we see, Achilles tears in middle-aged men. I'm like,
that's for guys that don't train too.
Correct.
Right?
I mean, you're active. And,
you're the weekend warrior. Yo, I don't do anything all week, but I'm going to go play ball.
You want to go keep up with your own self.
No, I train so I could play ball. Like, that's an outlet for me. Like, look, competition and camaraderie, unless you're an athlete or have ever done it, you'll never understand it.
Right.
That you can be within these four lines and curse at each other, say crazy shit to each other. When you come off, it's all hugs and love because we know it's not personal. It's just the competitor in us because we want to win. We want to be the best version of ourselves. Right. And, sometimes it don't look too pretty. But
and listen, nothing brings out the best in you like competition.
Absolutely.
And that's why capitalism, love it or hate it, is...
Entrepreneurship is a sport. Right. It's a sport, bro. It's a sport. Like, I don't care what you say. It's a sport. Like, yo, man, how do I win? How do I innovate? Well, yo, I got to do this. I got to do that. And how do you figure things out? You test things. And sometimes you take it out. And you got to be okay with that. Like, yo, shit didn't work. All right, pivot. Next thing, right? Next thing. You can't stay stuck.
Just don't give up.
Most people stay stuck. Oh, it didn't work. I'm like, all right, so what else did you do? Nothing. Bro, that's the end of your story.
Yeah, well, guess what you're going to get?
Nothing. Yeah.
Listen, my brother, it's been an absolute honor to have you on the show. We could do this all day. It's just like having a pure conversation.
Yeah,
I didn't prepare. I got my team together. I was like, give me the briefs for a couple of guests that I got today. Yeah. Don't worry about Louis. We're just going to kick it because we're so similar. We came up similar. We've been through a lot of the same struggles. And I just want you to leave our audience with some words of wisdom, some words of advice, some gems, if you will. Okay. Things that have served you and hopefully can serve them if they're listening.
Incredibly important. You said it before, I'll say it again. You don't know what you don't know. So don't stop walking around like you know things. Keep your mouth shut, keep your ears open, and learn. And people you learn from have to be the people that are doing it, not people that are speculating about it also. Like, you want to find people that are practicing what you're doing and get around them. And offer to be of value, whatever that is. I don't know, but don't do the whole I'll bring you coffee. Nah, man. Like, listen, how can I help? That should be the way you introduce yourself to a person of value that you want to learn from. How can I help? Because a real person will tell you, I need this, I need that. If you could do that, bet synergy, right? So it should be bring value, be of value, and everything happens for you. Like, I'm here because I saw something in Sean, and I try to be of value. That was really that simple, as if I break it down, right? And the world will reciprocate the right people, of course. Like, you're gonna meet idiots or assholes. It is what it is. The world's full of those too. But you have to be okay, swipe the page, go to the next person, and don't get stuck. Getting stuck is what most of us have. Well, like depression, all that. I'm not minimizing it. It's a real thing, but you gotta kind of learn how to navigate it and learn how to mediate through it to get yourself to the next level.
Yeah, and nothing gets you out of a depressed state more so than action.
Absolutely.
And the times that I've been depressed and sad and in my feelings, it's the time I'm not taking any action. So I appreciate you spending the time driving out here on a rainy Friday.
Yeah, testing the car.
Testing out the car. Got here in 45 fucking minutes. I don't know how, but I don't want to be a passenger in his car. That's how my wife must feel when I'm driving.
Sport mode. So,
listen, we're going to put all the information about HGRN, about Louis, about his socials, everything down in the bio. I just want to thank him again for coming out, representing the Bronx and Puerto Rican pride from the Bronx in style. Always got the heat on the feet.
Always
Check him out on social media. And as always, baby, let's get it. Stay tuned.
Last thing, I believe within a year, me and Sean will be on the stage together speaking, but we'll leave that out there. There you go.
Let's get it.
All right, man.
My man.